When a deadly, rapidly spreading virus begins causing panic in Moscow, the lives of two fractured families are violently thrown together. Sergey, his new wife Anna, and his autistic stepson Misha are forced to confront the apocalypse alongside Sergey's bitter ex-wife Ira, their son Anton, and their wealthy but arrogant neighbor Leonia. As the infected cough up blood and die within hours, the government seals the city, trapping millions inside. Guided by the bleak mathematical predictions of Sergey's elderly father, Boris, the families realize they must escape the collapsing quarantine before the military's brutal containment measures consume them all. The escape from the city is paved with bloodshed and betrayal. After bribing their way to the barricades and abandoning infected relatives, Sergey's convoy is forced to crash through military blockades under heavy gunfire. As the rule of law disintegrates, rogue soldiers begin looting homes and terrorizing civilians, forcing the families into desperate acts of self-defense. Leonia's rebellious daughter Polina claims her first life to save her pregnant stepmother, Marina, marking the group's horrifying transition from ordinary citizens to hardened survivors fleeing into the freezing, lawless wilderness.
Out on the harsh winter roads, the greatest threat to the group is their own paranoia. Trust quickly erodes when Leonia, attempting to save his own family, tries to abandon Sergey's group upon noticing Boris coughing. This cowardly act leads to a tense, uneasy reunion later down the road, bound only by mutual necessity. Their fragile alliance is tested further when a panicked mob at a rural gas station brutally murders a healthy man out of fear, forcing the families to violently take over the station, just to secure enough fuel to keep moving toward a rumored safe haven, an abandoned ship frozen in a distant lake. The journey northward becomes a grueling battle against both the elements and the remnants of a shattered society. The roads are littered with the gruesome aftermath of civilian uprisings and slaughtered military patrols. Every stop for supplies risks an encounter with infected families hiding in the shadows, or desperate locals willing to kill for a scrap of food. Amidst the chaos, deep personal wounds fester. Ira's lingering resentment towards Sergey and Anna poisons the group's morale, while young Misha and Polina forge a dark, trauma-bonded romance in the back seats of their fleeing vehicles. Tragedy strikes when Ira's young son, Anton, flees into the woods during a violent ambush by marauding locals. The frantic search leads the group into a deserted, blood-soaked town actively being purged by the military. As soldiers execute the infected in the streets, Ira's desperation blinds her to the extreme danger, nearly getting the entire group captured and quarantined. Unbeknownst to them, Anton is rescued by an armed group of local resistance fighters, leading to a massive, chaotic shootout at a civilian evacuation center, where the family miraculously reunites amidst the crossfire. The ultimate nightmare becomes a reality when Anna begins coughing up blood, signaling that the virus has finally breached their inner circle. Forced into isolation, she insists on riding alone as the terrified group pulls into an abandoned, lavish estate for the night. The house, however, holds its own dark secrets, littered with the bodies of a military family that succumbed to the disease. As Anna's condition rapidly deteriorates and she begins to slip out of consciousness, the group fractures over how to handle her impending death, highlighting the terrifying fragility of their survival. Salvation arrives through Pavel, a mysterious and immune doctor they rescued earlier on the road. Risking his own life, Pavel administers a direct transfusion of his immune blood to Anna, miraculously curing her of the deadly virus overnight. However, the joy of her impossible recovery is instantly shattered by the sudden death of Sergey's father, Boris, who succumbs to a fatal heart attack just moments after seeing Anna healed. As the group mourns the loss of their patriarch, they agree to bring Pavel along to the lake so his blood can eventually be used to synthesize a cure for the world. The trauma of the journey finally splinters the survivors. Unable to cope with his mother's illness and his own emotional detachment, Misha fakes his death in the frozen woods, prompting a devastating search. Meanwhile, Leonia's family suffers a horrific car crash that leaves Marina severely bleeding and delirious. Dragging his family through the snow, Leonia seeks shelter in an isolated cabin, only to be taken captive by a deranged, heavily armed woman who locks them in a basement. The apocalypse strips away their wealth and status, reducing them to desperate prisoners fighting for basic survival. Through sheer will and a violent struggle, Leonia manages to overpower their captor, freeing his family and, unexpectedly, rescuing Misha, who had been maimed by a bear trap near the cabin. Reunited and irrevocably changed, they are discovered by a wandering priest. In a poignant, surreal moment of humanity amidst the collapse of the world, the priest performs a dual wedding ceremony in an abandoned, freezing church. Leonia officially marries Marina, and a newly matured Misha marries Polina, cementing their bonds before facing the final leg of their perilous journey. Sergey's group finally reaches their fabled sanctuary, a massive, rusted ship trapped in the frozen expanse of a remote lake. However, the safe haven has already been claimed. They discover horrific evidence of cannibalism aboard the vessel, leading to a tense, deadly confrontation with a hermit who was driven to unimaginable madness by isolation and starvation. Sergey is forced to execute the broken man on the ice, securing the ship for his family, but forever staining their new home with blood. The harsh reality sets in that the sanctuary they sacrificed everything for is just another frozen tomb. Inside the freezing hull of the ship, the psychological toll of the apocalypse finally breaks the survivors. Anna, suffering from severe, lingering amnesia due to the virus, is brutally confronted by Ira, who uses the opportunity to reveal deep, long-held betrayals, including Sergey's infidelities and Anna's own manipulative past. Driven to the brink by the shattering of her reality, Anna burns her diary, choosing willful ignorance over the painful truth. As Pavel makes his quiet departure to try and share his cure with the world, the remaining survivors are left hollow, trapped with the ghosts of their sins. Just as Leonia, Misha, Polina, and Marina arrive at the lake, bringing the fractured group back together for a bittersweet reunion, their momentary peace is violently incinerated. A massive explosion rocks the ice as the ship is suddenly engulfed in roaring flames. The survivors rush out into the freezing night, only to realize the horrifying truth. The viral cleansing has escalated into a global conflict. Heavily armed foreign military forces are advancing across the ice, ready to purge the remaining infected zones. Standing before their burning sanctuary, the families realize their desperate fight for survival has only just begun.
Thank you for watching. We are truly honored to have you here. To support our channel and stay updated on new content, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep creating.